What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be doing a full penny box plus some additional rolls, hunt and album fill. This is only going to be episode 4 for pennies in 2022. I've been a little bit behind. I do hunt pennies from time to time. I get a lot of full like 2021 and 2022 boxes, and when I do get to hunt them, they're very small batches usually. So I'm going to make a concerted effort to get those penny books filled out this year. And what I was excited about is I stopped by my local Fifth Third, and I was able to pick up a circulated box of pennies. I see some dark pennies on here. Many of these are probably going to end up being copper. I do have a slew of new pennies too, but that's to be expected. But the real treat, I think, for today's hunt is going to be these rolls. I talked to the teller just as she was going to get the box if they had any customer wrapped rolls, and I already see on here, this thing says 1782 to 1982. I don't know if that's true. You can see it's split and everything in there looks like copper. So I am really excited to get into these. Even these rolls, they had a bunch more, but I tried to pick out the ones that looked like they had copper enders. And the other reason I'm really excited about this, and I'm going to do a whole series on weighing coins or weighing rolls. And what excites me about this is if I take like this red one here and drop it on there, we're at 154 grams, almost 155 grams. A typical roll of zinc pennies weighs about 126 to 127 grams. So this is loaded with copper. This is probably an entire roll, plus or minus a penny or two. So I'm super excited to get into these customer wrapped rolls. We're actually going to start there first, and we'll move to the box second. So I'm just really excited to get into these pennies. If you saw my last penny book, I'm really short on 1909 to about the mid 1950s on wheat pennies. I really hope this isn't just, 70s and 80s copper. I'm hoping we find some good oldies, some Indian heads, and lots of wheat pennies. But fingers crossed. We don't know what we're going to get till we get into the rolls, so let's go ahead and do that. It is I think a $36 hunt. I think I have $11 in random customer wrap stuff here. So 25 in the box, 11 in customer wrapped. Let's just jump into it. I hope you can tell I'm excited. I just can't wait. So I'll bring you guys in. We'll probably do one full roll together, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to put the rest of this together as we go. So for this first roll, let's go ahead and do this one. Hopefully you guys can see that on the wrapper it does say 1782 to 1982. It is split, so I'm just going to go ahead and open them this way, and we're going to have a look together. This just looks really old. Also looks a little bit disgusting, quite frankly. I should probably be wearing gloves, but we're not going to do that. Let's just have a look here together. I'm going to have to use this. So that's a 1982D, and just so you guys know, they're going to weigh 3.1 to 3.2 grams. And apologies, I'm going to have to get a lot of these under the scope. So this end appears to be 82s. I think that's an 82 as well. Sorry, you can't see where I'm putting those down. Let me back out just a little bit. There we go. This end looks to be 82. Let's check this end because it did say that they were older. I'm not seeing that. These all look to be, and they're stuck together. These all look to be like 1982s. I bet they're all copper just due to the weight. 82, 82. Now we're getting into stuff that's got a little more of a red. Like that's a really nice 1982. It's a little gunky on the side. All right, so I'm going to go off camera. I'll keep looking through these. I think these are all going to end up being 1982s. And look at that. That's just disgusting. I wonder if these were maybe in a flood or something. We've got a lot of oxidation on these. And they do all appear to be 82s. Well, I'm going to go off camera. I'll go through all the rest of these. If I happen to find something that's not a 1982, I'll bring you in, and we'll probably do a couple of rolls like that together. All right. See you in a second. Here's the next one, 1981, it says on the outside. Let's see if we believe it. These wrappers are pretty well done for. One more hiding in here. And these things are just destroyed. These had to have been in a flood or something. 81, 81. all 81s. Okay, we have two more of these, you know, kind of older waterlogged red rolls left. Let's go ahead and jump into this one. This one does say all 81s. Let's see if that's what it is, in fact. Sorry guys, it's just a disgusting wrapper, just trying to get them out. Okay. 81s, 81s. It's all 81s. So the wrapper was correct. And again, just kind of disgusting looking. And I see both 81 and 81D in here. There's a D for sure. Okay, looks like we had another whole roll of 1981s. And this is the last one I'll do just completely on camera. No markings. Ending is kind of ripped. These look to be in slightly better shape than the last couple of rolls. You can see we've got some more red looking ones here in the middle. 82, 82, 82, all 82s, 82. So I think this is going to end up being an entire roll of 82. Okay, well, not as exciting as I was hoping it would be, but it is what it is. We have a ton of copper, and I don't know what this is, probably 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 rolls left. I've got a couple of the newer red. I'll go through those. If we do find Wheaties, I'll go ahead and bring you guys in. So we are on our last red roll, and in those brighter red rolls that look like this, they were a good mix. Most of those weighed about 138, 39 grams, and they've produced a lot of copper. This is all the copper out of those red rolls, but I have started getting a lot of the newer stuff. And we did come across our first wheat penny, which is awesome. It's reverse facing, not in the best of shape, but it's a 1953D. And along the way, I did get one really beat up 19-something, 97, I believe it was, Roosevelt dime that looks very much like a penny because it is so very beat up. So getting on to the more, I would say the more recent coin roll wraps that you'll find everywhere. I did weigh most of these. As I said, I made sure I had copper on ends because there were a lot more of these at the bank. Some of them did not have copper on the ends. And you can see even this is weighing huge, 156 grams, which means, again, we are loaded with copper, or there's a bunch of extra pennies in here. So let's just do one of these on camera together and see what we get in this roll. It'd be great if we found one of these just chocked full of wheat pennies. Looking at the edges, I mean, you can see this is likely an entire roll of copper or very, very near it. We do have some stuff that will probably come, you know, would be classified as red instead of brown. But that just looks amazing. I love finding full rolls of copper. Go through a few of these together. 77, 76, 80. Can't tell what that is. My eyes are getting old. That's a 70. 67. That looks like a 60D, a 60D. So it looks like we're going to have a smattering throughout the 60s and 70s and maybe even up to 81 or 82. But I think this is an entire roll of copper. Okay, well, I'll keep going through it. Some of these I need to go back and see if we've got any varieties. And if I happen to see a Wheatie in here, I will pull you guys back in. So we finished going through those really old looking pennies. I went ahead and rewrapped what wasn't copper, and I ended up with $1.50, $1.61 in non-copper pennies. That means everything else was copper. So this entire cup is full of copper that was not disgusting. And this entire, well, half of this cup, 3/4 of this cup, is filled with disgusting copper. I did pull aside some stunners. These are really nice looking pennies. We're going to see if those upgrade our album at the end of the hunt. Obviously, we did have one dime that replaced a penny, and we had that one Wheatie. I'm going to set those aside and jump into the box next. We'll include these in the wrap up at the end, but I was just really pleased to basically get, $10.50, give or take, of pure copper is pretty amazing. Call it $10 worth of pure copper. Is pretty amazing. So with that said, let's get into the full box of pennies. So here we are with our box. It's our first roll, and I think we've got some copper here on the end. It's a 1960. We'll weigh it real quick. Yeah, we're at 129.7 grams, so we'll have a handful of copper pennies in here, more than likely. Figured I'd go ahead and open it and go through it really quickly just to see if there's any Wheaties that jump out at us. And then, as usual, I'll go off camera and just bring you guys in sporadically as we find stuff. Yeah, based on the color on here, I do think we're going to have a fair number of coppers in here. Come on. Well, here, I'm just going to spread them out. Let's see if we can find one real quick. That is not a Wheatie. Not a Wheatie. Nope, I'm not seeing any wheat pennies in here. I do think we're going to end up with probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 coppers. The rest will all be more current zinc pennies. If there's any errors or varieties, I'll be sure to pull you in. Looks like I may have filmed the wrong roll. We're on roll number 2, getting in towards the end of the roll, and we've come across our first wheat penny of the box. It's a 1948. We're on roll number 9, and we've come across our first foreign of the box. It is Canadian. Looking kind of shiny. Let's see. It is a 1996. Honestly, I don't even know what years Canadian pennies are actually copper or what percentage. I should look that up. I just hang on to all my Canadian change that I find because I think it's kind of pretty, and we don't see a lot of it. So anyway, I'll be hanging on to it. So we're on roll 27, and we have found our next wheat penny. It was reverse facing as we went through, not in terrible condition. 1958 Denver. 2 wheat pennies for the board. We're on roll 30, and we've come across our next wheat penny. This time, it is a 1953 Denver in pretty bad shape, but we'll take it. We're on roll 32, and we have found our ugliest wheat penny of the hunt. Really of any hunt I've had in a good long while. Heavily tarnished. Almost impossible to see. It's a 1957 something. Looks like a 57D under the scope. That's a tough book filler right there if I don't have a 57D, but we'll add it up here to the board. We're on roll 35, and we have found our next Wheatie. This one's in a lot better shape than the last one we found, that's for sure. It's a 1956D. 56 Denver to go with the rest of them. So we are on roll 39, and the ugly Wheaties just continue. So this is one, when I first saw it, I wasn't quite sure if it was a Wheatie or not. I had to pick it up. But it is, let's see here, it looks to be a 1945. That'll go up here with the rest of our Wheaties. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 6 of them right now, which is not very many for a whole box of pennies. We're down to our last 3 rolls, and we have another Wheatie. I don't know why all my Wheaties in this box are so ugly, but they all have something wrong with them, it feels like. And this time we have a 1952 Denver. So, 1, 2, I think this is, I don't know, Wheatie number 7 or 8, and most of them seem to be in the 50s. There they all are. Hopefully we'll get lucky and find at least one more in these last 2 rolls. Okay, remember how I just said in the last clip, hopefully we get lucky. Well, I'm in my next to last roll, and this, I don't know if it's the oldest Wheatie I've ever found, coin roll hunting, at least in a bank wrap box. But it's definitely the oldest one I can remember in a good long while. This is a 1927. Again, not in fantastic shape, but I'll take that all day long. That is an old penny. It's like 95 years old. That's a great find. So we are done with the hunt, and this is going to be a little bit of a long wrap-up because we have a lot to talk about, and I do want to get you over to the books because I have a couple of hole fillers and a couple of upgrades that are going to go in the books, which is always great when you're doing these hunts. But I did have over here the couple of blinging coins that I found in the customer wrap rolls. And of course, we had the one wheat penny. It was a 1953D. And my one pretty beat up, where'd it go? A Roosevelt dime. Just to remind you guys of the customer wrapped rolls. I'm going to get back to those in a second because we had a ton of copper and we've got some stuff to talk about there. But to recap the box, we had a bunch of Wheaties. Everything you see here, what do we have? About 8 Wheaties. The oldest being a 1927, which I know is going to be a book filler, all the way up through the 1958D. And I did pull you guys in for every one of these, so I'm not going to recap each one of them. We had a couple of foreign Canadian pennies, and I did pull a couple of kind of stunners, and at least 1 or 2 of these are upgrades. And I did get 3 of the professional life 2009s and 3 of the formative years. The formative years was checked for the DDR, and we didn't have it. And I did pull these 2 separate. I had a 73 and a 74 San Francisco penny, and I'm going to check those for upgrades in the book as well. I've not seen a lot of the San Franciscos. I know I have them both, but I don't know if these are going to be upgrades. So I'll get to the book last, but where I did want to go to next was the copper. This is the largest copper haul. I have ugly cup number 1. I have the rest of the decent looking customer wrap copper that's right here. And this is all the copper that I pulled from the box. And then I have 2 piles over here that I want to talk about. Really quickly, to wrap up all the copper, except what you see here, because I haven't weighed all of this. I had something like 3,900 and something grams. Hang on, let me find it again real quick. I had 3,916 grams worth of copper in this hunt. That works out to, at today's copper price, almost $27.50 worth of copper. Keeping in mind, I have at least 12 or 13, maybe $14 worth of pennies that I pulled to get there. So what I have in this cup is the remainder of those really old red rolls that were taped together that I was really hoping was going to be a bunch of wheat pennies. It ended up being mainly 1982s. I think there was some other random stuff in there. But I had a lot more pennies in here. And while on the internet, I wanted to see how can we clean some of this gunk off of pennies. And I know we're not supposed to clean our coins, but these are just copper pennies for the most part. And if they were numismatically relevant, most of these were so badly, say, damaged and sort of gunk-filled that I just don't think the value would have been there. And I found an article online that said, in a little bit of vinegar, like a half cup of vinegar and a tablespoon of salt, let it soak for a little bit and it'll eat away all this stuff. So I grabbed maybe half of these and just dumped them in and did different sort of techniques. Some I left in for 10 seconds, some I left in for 30 seconds, some I left in for a minute or 2. And some I left in for 3 or 4 hours. So this first little batch over here, believe it or not, these used to look like this. I mean, I got a couple of blingers in there, but a lot of them looked kind of gunky, right? Water damage. Some of them were even kind of black like this. They were just kind of ugly in general. If I put them in, and you can still see some of the green on there, most of these were in for anywhere from like 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. And you can see some of them came out really, really nice. There were a couple in here that came out really, really nice after just kind of soaking in that bath for just, 30 seconds to a minute. Some got a little washed out, like this guy got a little washed out. And I just think that's just due to what was on it. I'm not going to say I recommend doing this, but just to get them clean and get some of the gunk off of them, it actually did a pretty good job. Where I went wrong was I had some really dirty ones, and I left them in for like 3 hours. And these hardly even look like copper pennies anymore. They're just really, really, and I don't know if it's showing up well on camera, but these things are almost pink now. They really are. They're almost pink. Now, some of these were completely black. Like this one, I want to say this one on the back was completely black, and that vinegar and salt solution just ate right through it. I'm sure I've destroyed any actual coin collectability value in those, but it was just kind of an interesting little test that I did. So I wanted to point that out. Most of them came pretty clean, and because they were mainly 81s and 82s, I wasn't real worried about it. So that was this sort of dirty cup, and I still have a bunch of dirty ones in there that I probably won't mess with. The rest of these, oops, and I just dumped them everywhere. That's going to make a mess. I had a tremendous amount of copper in this. It was almost a full Dixie cup. And then this is everything that came out of the box. And like I said, we had almost 4,000 grams worth of copper, which is just insane. Well, let me get in here and straighten this mess up that I just made, and we'll get over to the books. And I want to show you what we've been able to fill or replace in the books. So my most exciting fill is my book number 1, which only has, it looks like, about 5 coins in it. So really excited to have a coin to pop in there. The 1927 144.4 million minted. That's for book number 1. So when we get into book number 2, the 52D that we had is a book filler. And I'm not going to pop these in, and they're ever so slightly upgrades in my opinion, but this 1956D is going to get upgraded, and this 1958D is going to get upgraded, as well as this 1974S. So I've got 3 upgrades. They're very, very minor upgrades, mind you. So I'm not too excited about those, but I am excited to get one more fill in this book. And then last but not least, we've got 3 minor upgrades for book number 3, the 77, the 79, and the 82 copper large date are getting updated. So I'll get those popped out and get them popped right in. Okay, well that was a crazy one. That was a lot of copper to go through. I wish I had found more wheat pennies, because that was a lot of pennies to go through without finding any wheats, but it is what it is. I'll take the $27 in copper value that you see right here in front of you. I don't recommend doing the vinegar and salt trick unless you are just going to leave them in very, very briefly to get some of the gunk off. I think it'd be fine for kind of cleaning up a coin like this. I think the amount of time you have to leave it in to clean up one that's completely black, you're just going to destroy the penny. So just wanted to try that out myself, see how it worked, and I can't recommend it. But with that said, it was a fun hunt. I hope you enjoyed it. It's slow going on these pennies, but I'm hoping to get more pennies in the future. I am going to go back to the bank where I got all of this copper from, because they probably had another $20 worth from that same customer. Looking at the enders on a lot of those rolls, I could tell they weren't all copper, but I'm going to go back and mine that and see if there's some other goodies in there. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this one. I enjoyed making it. You guys, if you're new to the channel and you like penny hunts, or you like half dollars or quarters or silver or gold or whatever, anything in this precious metals and numismatic space, I try to cover it from time to time. Click on that subscribe button and click on that little bell and select all, so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. You guys let me know if you like this one by going down below and clicking on that like button, and leave me a comment. Let me know. You guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.